Hi. Very quickly, I just want to share something that's been on my heart lately that actually has been encouraging me. And I hope that if you take the next few minutes to watch this, that you will be encouraged as well. One of the best answers to the question why regarding Christian suffering and God's will was penned by former Muslim Nabeel Qureshi in his book Seeking Allah, Finding Jesus. When confronted with the question in his own heart about why God didn't just take him to heaven the moment he believed in Jesus, rather than leave him here to suffer the devastating loss of his very close family bond, the loss of his proud Islamic heritage, and the loss of pretty much everything he held dear to follow Christ, he says he felt the Lord speak these words to his grieving, anguished heart: "Because this is not about you." Now I want to read more from that quote, actually from the book. This is Seeking Allah, Finding Jesus, page 281. "Why didn't you kill me? I pleaded with God, full of despair because it was too late. It would have been better if you had killed me the moment I believed, so my family would never have had to taste betrayal. This is far worse for them than my death would have been. At least our love would have lived on. At least our family would have always been one. Why, God?" At that moment, the most agonizing moment of my life, something happened that was beyond my theology and imagination. As if God picked up a megaphone and spoke through my conscience, I heard these words resonate through my very being: "Because this is not about you." I wish I could read the rest of the chapter, but I don't want to spoil it too much in case you decide to read the book. And I encourage you to do so. It's amazing. But those words that God spoke to his heart during his dark night of the soul and one of the worst times of his life, as he describes it: "Because this is not about you." At first, that might sound like a harsh response, almost like God is kicking someone who is already down. But that's not it at all. God's response is beautiful confirmation of his love for all people. He doesn't just kill us immediately the moment we believe in him so that we can be with him and avoid all the inevitable troubles we will face as Christians on earth. That would be great for us, but terrible for everyone else who doesn't know him. He keeps us here because we are his hands and feet. We are his messengers. He loves every person he made and wants to see all people come to the saving knowledge of Jesus Christ, and he uses us to do it. Because this is not about you is something to remember when you're going through a difficult circumstance that you can't understand at the time. When all you can do is ask, "Why, God?" Stop and ask yourself this as well: if this present suffering is not about me, then what is it for? Who could God potentially draw to himself through your obedience to Christ in the midst of your own trials and suffering? Following Jesus means trusting him with all of your doubts, fears, worst-case scenarios, losses, heartbreaks, betrayals, and unfulfilled desires. When you're going through it, it doesn't always feel like something that could potentially turn victorious or something that God could use for a greater good. In fact, sometimes it feels like the dead opposite, like there's no hope for that situation. But there is hope. As long as we're still breathing, there's hope. We just have to trust God's sovereign hand on that situation and keep obeying him, even if the outcome is not what we wanted. Nabeel obeyed God through tears of agony, through great loss, and we may never find out until heaven the impact his obedience had or will have on his own Muslim family. God's promises are all true, whether they come to pass in our lifetime, in another generation's lifetime, or not until heaven. It's not about us. God knows what he's doing. Let that comfort you today. Let that open your eyes to the world outside of your own sphere of personal pain, a world desperate to know Jesus. As Nabeel says in his book, they are the ones who are truly suffering. They don't know his hope, his peace, and his love that transcends all understanding. They don't know the message of the gospel. Let's show the world the power and love of Christ in our suffering, because they're watching, and they need the hope we have in Jesus.